Hi everyone, thank you for joining me, Debbie from cariadcards.co, and this is the card that I'm going to be showing you today. This one was made using Cajun Craze and crumb cake, and we're going to make the same card but just in a different colourway, just so you can see what it looks like. Now I've started off with my 6" by 6" card blank that I've just folded in half. And then I've got a piece of Whisper White cardstock, which is 14 centimetres by 14 centimetres, or 5½ inches by 5½ inches. And then my second piece of cardstock is 13 centimetres by 13 centimetres, or 5⅛ inches by 5⅛ inches. Normally I just leave ½ centimetre, so if I did 14 centimetres I'd do 13.5, but I particularly wanted a larger border on this one, so I've gone down a whole centimetre, just so that the inking around the edges really pops, really shows off. So I'm going to do the inking around the edges first of all, just to give it all time to dry. And I have actually pre-started this, just so you don't have to sit and watch me do all of it. The colours we're working with today are crushed curry, old olive and soft suede. And I've decided that as I'm going to do the leaves in old olive, it makes sense really, doesn't it, to have leaves in old olive, I'm going to ink the edges in crushed curry. And I'm just using my finger sponge dauber, which I'm popping into the crushed curry, picking up a bit of ink and then just sponging up the edges. Now if you want a very thin line, hold your sponge like that and you'll just pick up a tiny bit. If you want a deeper line, angle your sponge in a little bit more and it'll pick up more colour. And you can put as much colour on or as little as you like. So I've done both pieces of card, which hopefully has saved you a good 3 or 4 minutes of watching. And then when we overlay those, we're going to get these lovely contrasting popping layers. So I'm going to do my stamping next. I started off by stamping these leaves. The leaves are from this set, Summer Silhouettes, and I've used this leaf here. It's a beautiful silhouette leaf. As I say, with the other card we did it in crumb cake, but in this one we're doing it with old olive. So I'm just going to ink my, I was going to say stamp my ink up, ink my stamp up. And then what I want to do is to get it looking like my leaves are going in different directions. So we've got a slightly zigzaggy border. So to do that, I'm going to start off with the base of the leaf about here and aim it slightly upwards. Well, towards the left. Right, left, that's right. Forgot my rights and lefts then. And then this one, I'm going to start there and overlay that direction. Don't worry that it goes over a leaf because we're going to disguise that with some flowers later. That's the beauty, you can always disguise things. And then again we're going to zigzag that way, so I've turned my stamp and I'm going to pick up round about there. As ever, no right, no wrong. Old olive and crushed curry work really well together, a beautiful complement. And then I'm going to do the sentiment. Now with this one I just picked up the crumb cake and did the sentiment, but I'm going to bring in another colour this time. So I'm going to bring in soft suede, which I know again works beautifully with these colours. I'm using the Another Thank You set and I'm going to use that stamp there, thank you. Okay, so I'm just going to ink that up in the soft suede. And I'm going to pop it down round about there. And then I'll start putting these layers together, and then we've just got the flowers to do. I do quite like it when I start assembling the card and putting the bits and pieces just out the way, because I tend to be quite a messy worker and otherwise everything ends up everywhere. So I'm using bit of glue just around the outside of my larger layer. You can use well, lots of different things: double-sided tape, snail, fast fuse, glue if you like it. just gives you a bit of wiggle room. So if you see it, I didn't quite put that on straight, and that's just allowed me to move it just a tiny bit. And then you could put this on dimensionals, but because it pops anyway, I'm going to just put it straight onto the other layer of card. Now make sure you get this the right way around. The sentiment will show you which way to do it. And remember, I've made this layer quite a bit bigger, or smaller, no, not bigger, smaller than I normally would. So we've got a much larger gap between them. Now, I really love that effect. So the last thing we're going to do is make these flowers. And I'm using my Petite Petals punch, and I punched out one flower from Whisper White and 2 flowers from the crushed curry. I've already pre-prepared one of the yellow ones and one of the white ones, just because we're going to use the same technique all the way through, so there's no point me doing, well, there is plenty of point me doing 3 of them, but it just means you've got to sit and watch me do them. Crushed curry again, finger sponge dauber, so exactly the same technique, just sponging around the outsides. And you can pop your flowers on straight like this, but I quite like to just put a bit of movement and lift into mine. And to do that, I've got my bone folder, so I'm going to go from the bottom of the petal up on each of them, so just dragging it up, supporting the bottom leaf with the tip of your finger and just pulling it up so you get a bit of a curl. And do that to all 5 petals. And then bring in your stamping paper piercing mat and your paper piercing tool with a rounded end, and if you just press that in the middle, you get a beautiful 3D looking flower. Now I'm just going to pop on a pearl onto each of these, just because I like the look of pearls. So one in the middle. Sometimes you have to press these quite hard. The reason being that because you've created this lift, it's not actually flat in the centre any longer, and so there's a little bit less area for the pearl or the rhinestone to adhere to. So you might find, just to start with, if you don't put enough pressure, they will move a little bit. So just make sure, because you don't want to be lifting your card up and having your pearls pop off, do you? Okay. And you can, if you've got blendabilities, you can actually colour these in a matching colour. Now, where are we? I've got glue dots next, because I want to attach these. Now the best thing to do is to lay these out, first of all, before you do anything or you decide to move them. Now I've got these 2 joins here, so I could put that one there, and I could put that one there, or I could completely ignore the join and put that up in the middle. It really is, it's your card. You put your flowers exactly where you want them. No rights, no wrongs. And just get your glue dots, find the end, and just pop your flower onto your glue dot, pick it up, and just stick it to your card. You could use a dimensional. You could just cut one of the dimensionals in half, or use one of the edge strips. You probably wouldn't need a whole one on the back of one of these. There. Oh, I do love these colours together. Absolutely gorgeous. And the very last thing I'm going to do, I've got these gorgeous Regals candy dots, because the crushed curry is part of the Regals family. And I'm just going to pick off just a couple to pop around here, just to really pick up the crushed curry. Now I could, if I wanted, pick up the old olive as well. That would work perfectly well, but you obviously need the Brights candy dots to do that, because that's from the Brights family. So up to you. You can put them sort of absolutely equally spaced, or you can put them in a sort of slightly haphazard manner, which is what I'm going to go for. So there we have it. We've got one version in crushed curry with old olive and soft suede, and one version in Cajun craze with crumb cake. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for joining me, Debbie at cariadcards.co.